Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And we see them in today. We have a hell of a show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. If you hear any noise in the background, they're just doing some construction work outside. So let's get into today's show. So yesterday, after we finished shooting, a lot of stories came out. A lot of interesting things came out. And I said, man, I got to get to all of these topics, or at least get to as many as I can today. And we have a bunch of interesting shows that we want to get to today. But one of them was centered on the weekly visit that Chris Mad Dog Russo usually does on ESPN First Take. He's there every Wednesday. And on this particular day, they were reacting to the NBA Cup. And in specific, they were reacting to the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid. As you guys know, Joel Embiid has been a bit of a controversial figure. He had the issue with the reporter that most people have reported on. There were the controversial comments where he came out and said he doesn't think he's ever going to play back-to-backs in his career. Then he played in that NBA Cup game. He didn't look too good. And then, of course, you had the comments that Shaquille O'Neal made about Joel Embiid. It's his mentality, saying that if he doesn't change his attitude and his approach to the game, he'll never win a championship. You had that. And then, of course, you had the comments that he made post-game where he said, oh, I just be trolling and all of that, right? So what happened? They were discussing this on ESPN First Take yesterday with Stephen A. Smith, Chris Mad Dog Russo, and Molly Karam. And they were talking about the situation there in Philly and what's going on with Joel Embiid. And when Stephen A. Smith took the floor, he basically went on this apology tour for Joel Embiid, saying that, people need to take it easy on Joel Embiid. All the people calling out Joel Embiid, people forget that it's not like as if Joel Embiid doesn't want to play, or it's not like as if when he's playing, he's a fantastic player. It just said he's injured. He just said he's injured, and people need to take it easy on him, and people need to take it easy on him, right? Because he's just injured. So what's the big thing about it? It's not like as if he's just willingly sitting out. He can't play. He's hurt. And when he plays, he's a great player. And as Chris Mad Dog Russo was listening to him, you could see like he was getting a little bit annoyed with what Stephen A. Smith was saying, because he knew what he was saying was just total BS. And what he did was he totally called him out on live TV for basically making all kind of ridiculous excuses for Joel Embiid. And in the process of him saying that, a lot of people started commenting on the video like, wait a minute. Stephen A. Smith has given Joel Embiid a pass, but Kawhi Leonard has the exact same issues, and all he does is rip him. So what's going on here? But before we even get into what Chris Mad Dog Russo had to say to Stephen A. Smith, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. With only 4 months left until the end of the year, I look forward to creating special moments with family and friends by attending various theaters, shows, plays, and sporting events. And when it comes time for me to look for tickets, I absolutely love to use Game Time. Game Time is one of the most reliable marketplaces for last-minute tickets to the most popular events in sports, music, and theater in more than 60 cities across the United States and Canada. Game Time saves me money, time, and peace of mind, so I don't have to sort through thousands of tickets looking for the best prices or worry about whether or not if they're authentic or whether I'm going to receive them on time. Game Time Picks, one of my favorite Game Time tools, analyzes thousands of tickets for all of your favorite events near your location and finds you the best possible deal so you don't have to. For example, I'm looking forward to this upcoming concert at Madison Square Garden of one of my favorite composers, Hans Zimmer. Here, I can select the all-in price to see the total ticket price up front, no hidden fees. And now I can sort through the best possible deals I can find. I can choose the cheapest deals, the great deal, or the amazing deal. Once you select the ticket you want, you can use their panoramic seat view to ensure you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. And if you're like me and always make plans at the last minute, you can grab tickets up to 90 minutes after the event has started. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and use redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is we want to play what Chris Mad Dog Russo had to say to Stephen A. Smith in response to his comments, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to that there.
Well, listen, he should have never said that he wasn't going to play back-to-back. That was an irresponsible thing for him to say. You just don't articulate that because you don't know how you're going to feel, and you got to play it by ear and then make the decision there. That's number one. Number two, he did play the back end of about 5 back-to-backs last year, and in those games he averaged 34 and 11. He spoke last night and said he's feeling good, but it's up to the team, and obviously in this day and age, a lot of players, Doggy, come to me and they complain that players are taking too many hits for the decisions that organizations are making. Because of the investment that they make, they've got their strength and conditioning coaching staff and the doctors. They're the ones who determine whether you play or not. And 99% out of 100, if they say that you ain't playing, you ain't playing. That's usually the way that it goes. Having said all of that, the only thing that I would say is this. He looked awful last night, very, very rusty. He looked somebody like as if he was afraid he was going to get hurt. I just want to remind everybody, this isn't some dude that just comes in like fat and out of shape and all of this other stuff. Doggy, he started in the NBA in 2015, never played a game until 2016. He missed the first 2 years of his career. He is always hurt. And so when you look at that, I don't think we should ever accuse him of just laying down, not working out. It's not like he hurt his shoulder or his wrist or his arm or his hand and he can't get in shape. Usually he's got a knee injury. He's got a foot injury or the combination of both. And that has primarily been what has plagued him. And I just think it's important to bring that into consideration and for folks to stop talking about him like he's just some dude that doesn't want to play.
Boy, you are giving him a complete pass. Number one, if he wanted to play tonight, he'd get out there and play tonight. That's the first thing. I don't buy this team nonsense while they tell him not to play. He's a big star. If he wanted to play the basketball game tonight, he'd play the freaking game. I don't care what some trainer said. That's the first thing. Second thing, you're putting him on this level, Steve, he doesn't deserve to be at. He has never played in a conference final. Never played in a conference final. You're a big man in the NBA. You are evaluated by how far you play in the postseason. This is a guy who has never played in a conference final. That's number two. Number three, how come he was as fresh as a daisy in the Olympics? I don't understand. So let me get this straight. He was as fresh as a daisy, played minutes up and down the court in the Olympics after he was limping around last year at the end of the postseason against the Knicks. And now a month or two later, he can't play again? I don't understand that. Number four, there's much too much noise with the Sixers. They have the most overrated general manager in the history of professional sport who has done nothing in his career in Morey, and they make him out to be Red Auerbach. That's the first thing. Second thing, the aforementioned the fact that Embiid has never played in a conference final. I'm tired of all the Sixer noise. How about the Sixers go out there and win some ball games? How about they play the schedule? Cleveland's been playing all the games. Brunson and Towns have played all the games. LeBron hasn't taken a day off, and he's 40 years old. How about Embiid, and how about Paul George? How about they all go out there, play basketball games? Their record stinks. What are they, 2-8? Go out there and play some basketball games and put together a 25-game stretch where they all play and they go 18-7. How about they do that before we sit there and make such a big deal about the Philadelphia 76ers, who every time I look up in a big game, whether it be against Boston in the playoffs a few years ago when they got routed, whether it be against Toronto when they couldn't beat them, whether it be against the Knicks, how about we go out there and start evaluating Philadelphia like all great players and teams should be evaluated, how they play in postseason. And so Jokic has won championships. All right, Jokic won a title. So comparing him to Jokic is an insult. He's won a championship. So let him go play in a conference final before I start putting him on the level that you love to put him at, one of the all-time great centers. No, he's not. The body of work does not indicate that, Stephen. So you guys overrate him all the time. I'm tired of it.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. First of all, I want to applaud Chris Mad Dog Russo. And a lot of people who saw that segment were agreeing with him. They were like, Stephen A. Smith is just looking like a hypocrite. Like, why are you making all of these excuses for Joel Embiid? But I want to get to the Kawhi Leonard aspect of this because we did bring up Kawhi Leonard in this show. Every single excuse that Stephen A. Smith has given Joel Embiid, he could give the exact same excuses for Kawhi Leonard. The only difference is he doesn't like Kawhi. I don't know what it is about him he doesn't like. Maybe he's met him. Maybe Kawhi Leonard didn't dap him up. I don't know what it is. Didn't dap him up. I don't know what it is. But he has made it his business to totally... So if Kawhi Leonard is the worst superstar in NBA history, then what is Joel Embiid? What is Joel Embiid? And I've never heard Kawhi Leonard say, oh, when I didn't play, I was just trolling. Joel Embiid just said that. He said I was trolling. I've never heard Kawhi Leonard say that. And Chris Mad Dog Russo brought up a good point. He's like, you're making all of this excuses for this guy, like as if he's this guy that's this major champion and he's like he's never even been to a conference finals in his life. Ever. So why are we giving him all of this respect? Why are you propping him up so high? But then you have a player like Kawhi who's actually won multiple championships, won multiple finals MVPs, he made all-second NBA team last year, won all-star game MVPs, multiple defensive player of the year awards. And he's been injured because he has injury issues with his knees and all of that, dating all the way back to San Antonio. We know the history. And Stephen A. Smith is fully aware of the history. So why does Joel Embiid get a pass, but Kawhi Leonard doesn't? And then Kawhi Leonard is the more accomplished player. I just think that Stephen A. Smith, for whatever reason, and I don't know the reasons, just doesn't like Kawhi Leonard. I don't know the specific reasons. I don't know what Kawhi did to him, but that's just my understanding of the situation there. I could be wrong, but that's what it is. And I think the hypocrisy here is actually quite flagrant. Like, the hypocrisy is deafening. Because you're there twerking it up for Joel Embiid, talking about he's injured, and people need to remember that. So why don't you remember that when you talk about Kawhi Leonard? People need to remember that Joel Embiid is a great player. Like, people need to remember. So why don't you remember that? That doesn't stop you from going off on Kawhi Leonard and telling him he's useless and this and this and this. And I don't understand that. I just don't understand it. Anyway, these are my thoughts on it. So what I want to know from you guys, first of all, what do you think about what Chris Mad Dog Russo had to say? Do you think his comments were fair? And what do you think about this thing about Stephen A. Smith's picking and choosing? Going at Kawhi Leonard, but not Joel Embiid. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We'll catch you guys on the next show. Peace.